GM. GM. What a candle, eh? So, today is Monday. It is the 5th of... No, it's the 4th of December. This is Daily Levels. And we're breaking out. So, I mentioned this yesterday when I was doing some analysis before the stream, that this was what Bitcoin looked like. Zoom in on the optimism part. It seemed like that's where we were. Breakout, this rally is real. And since then, this rally has become very real. So, from that perspective, everything looks good. Obviously, you're going to see a lot of people chasing into this rally. So you're kind of trapped between two approaches here. I think on one hand, Bitcoin is genuinely breaking out because it should be probably priced much higher, and we are heading towards potentially a blow off top going into the ETF. But at the same time, you get these type of moves and often they lead to some pretty brutal shakeouts. So here's one from previous that I've talked about several times. We just looked like we were going up only, and then we flushed out a bunch of people. Now, it doesn't have to go like that either. You know, there's plenty of examples of price going up and staying up, but I think at some point there'll be a nice deep wick. Probably want to be hoping to see something a bit more like this. Right? We break out, consolidate, flush down to almost a retest, and then just keep grinding up towards the ETF. This, to me, would make sense. Where you have your first big impulse and everyone phone was in, then it shakes them all out. But Bitcoin continues to grind upwards. Because if there's going to be a blow off top or some type of overextension to the move, I would expect it to come a little bit later. So there's plenty of time for price to consolidate, to go sideways, to have a dip down. But I do think something like this can happen all the way into the ETF, just where it just keeps grinding up. And it's obviously a significant price increase. It's impulse, grind up, impulse, grind up. And the top needs to begin to form. So there's no point getting short here at all, because the top needs to form. Now, of course, you might get this September 2021 where it's a big leverage shakeout and we flush all the way down and it gets really brutal. I don't think we'll dip that deep. I don't think Bitcoin will go that low, but pre-ETF, because I think there will be a lot of demand waiting for it at 40, even more demand waiting for it at 38. So you never know, of course, but that's my expectation. So what I would be looking more for would be something like that kind of dip, where it dips down like that, just sweeps people out, and then it just continues to grind up as we head towards ETF. That's what I'd be looking at, some kind of shakeout. When is it going to come? Who knows? Right? You don't really know. And from what I see from looking online, obviously anytime price is going like this, especially where we're at in the cycle, people are still actually a bit fearful. So they're saying, oh, watch out for a dip, as you should. Obviously, it's not fucking rocket science to say whenever something's like this, just going vertical, watch out for a dip. But the dip might not be very significant, right? If you look at these times where it's just going straight up, breaking out of a upwards accumulation. I mean, we haven't really seen this in years. If we get an older chart. right? To where it's been up and consolidating upwards and then breaking out, because that's important. That means it's built a strong base. You really don't see this very often on Bitcoin. It's really how parabolic price action forms, right? Which is pretty wild to think. I don't think Bitcoin can do anything like this, although I've been surprised before. You look at something like this here, where it was just grinding up, grinding up, grinding up, and then it overextended, right? Straight vertical, dip down, and then just fucking catapulted all the way. So like the equivalent of that today would be something like what I'd drawn out here, except from higher, right? Something like that. If you look at it, knock that off. Yeah. If there's going to be some kind of shakeout, it'll probably come after we go even higher. I actually think we need to push higher again. Maybe we grab some of these stops at April 2022. That's 42. That's almost 43. You know, once price is so aggressively trending up here at the moment, I think that's possible. And the higher it goes, the more it squeezes, the more aggressive it becomes, the bigger, obviously the deeper and the more aggressive the shakeout can be, but also more aggressive that the market becomes on the way up. Because when it's outperforming like this, it can just keep going and going and going and going without any significant pullback. And as it pushes up and it squeezes and it holds, yeah. The main thing with parabolic price action is you want to be long before it, and if you have leverage long, you want to be reducing it as we go more parabolic. So I talked about this. I'm long spot, obviously, just always, and have been all year. Hedged it back in August, closed it out just before the pump. So being long spot is the place to be. And then with trades, I added leverage trade at 35, 35.8, taking some profit off of that now, still leaving some of that open. But the more vertical it goes, the less exposure you want to have. So this is the wrong way around. Most people stay fully exposed even as price continues to go parabolic. And that's only fine. If you want to stay fully exposed, that can only be on your spot bags, right? Because when price pushes so crazy like this, that's a sign for you to start taking profit on your, your leverage positions or your trades. Like, if you're not going to take profit on short-term trades, because that's every leverage trade is short-term. There's no such thing as a long-term leverage trade. That's fucking dumb. That's just for idiots. And so this is a short-term trade. It's 4 green days in a row, right? And yeah, maybe it goes 1 or 2 more, but it's not going to go forever. It will slow down, it will stop, it will pull back, it will whatever. There'll be a shakeout or even a consolidation. We don't know how it's going to look, but you don't stay fully invested, leverage and all at those times. So above us, 43 liquidity. That might well hold, right? That might not get hit. Maybe this 42 is a big level. We haven't actually hit 42 yet, so I think we will at least wick to 42. The 2022 Open, 40.8 as well. 40.8 is a pivot that I've had for quite a while, if you remember. Let me see. On the right one? Yeah. I think it's on my Binance chart. There we go. There are my pivots. And another one at 48. They're the pivot levels that I had set way back. So we're above that 40.8 one. And I think staying above that sets up higher prices. We've got the 2022 Open, which is over here. There's 2022 Open. These are just some old levels that are of relevance. And so 40.8 seems like a good level to watch if we come back down in the short term. 40.8 seems a level to see will we flip it. If we get back below 40.8, whether it's today, tomorrow, or some other time, back below 40.8, I think that's where it sets up the proper flush. I don't know where it goes there. Maybe it goes deeper. Who knows? Main thing is just understand that we've actually built a very solid base, right? Bitcoin has actually... It's not like it has been doing the typical distributing price action, right? If Bitcoin had been, coming up, doing this, 3 pushes, it hasn't done any of that. It's come up and it's formed a base here. A really strong base from the 9th of November to the end. So 3 week base there. That will provide, most likely should provide anyway, support on the way back. So I think we maybe push one more day, then we have a deep shakeout, and then it grinds up into the ETF. I think that might be the nature of the price action. Mostly guesswork, so don't take it too seriously. That's why you should just be long in crypto. Be positioned and then be patient. Funding rates are wild. So top one's Bitcoin funding rate, bottom one is the altcoin market funding rate. Obviously OI at the bottom, so OI pushing to new highs as you'd expect, though prices way out. Open interest isn't actually going crazy considering the price move we've had, but there was a lot of shorts squeezed out, so there must have been the shorts that got squeezed out have been replaced by longs, most likely. I want to look back at some of these other periods where we had shakeouts, right? So when we saw that 20% dip across alts, the funding had went like that into it. Now it was steadily rising for a couple of weeks. Right now we've had just insanity. Like, this is the highest funding we've had all year. So again, it's like a Bitcoin move, Bitcoin driven move. Ethereum doing quite well too. But a Bitcoin driven move with a Bitcoin ETF narrative, and then but altcoin funding rate of change just goes like crazy. I mean, this, this almost always marks a top of some kind. Try and even find a Try and even find a level where alts were last at that. I mean, this is fucking... Haven't been at these levels since the last peak of the last bull market. Here and here. There it is. Last time we were at this level consistently was a day before the big crash. So take that for what you will. Funding rate is not a predictor of price, of course, but it is an indication of the disparity between spot and futures, and it seems like futures are definitely leading this. Everyone's just aping in, and really what it is if you want to understand what the funding is, why it matters, and what the whole interplay is, well, you have to look at the nature of the movement, right? So people are long Bitcoin. And maybe they bought some spot Bitcoin here whenever funding was more neutral, right? Maybe they bought some spot Bitcoin here when funding was around neutral or less. Then we go to break out and they get long and they long and they long with leverage. You long your longs because you're long spot, then you long your longs, and it's just a race of who can take profit in time before all those longs get wiped out. And then we go all over again. And the funding resets. You go back and buy spot. Right? That's like a rough visualization of what's happening. So you can't get caught into this position and start buying spot. Like, it's the absolute worst thing you can do on any coin is buy spot when it's in a leverage driven push, because you know the market's going to roll over. Right? The market's going to roll over at some point. It's just people chasing leverage. It's, you know, it's hype, it's speculation, it's anchoring a price, right? We push price up so that it holds at a nice high level and we can come back and revisit it in the future. It's all of those things. But is it usually sustainable? Not long, not for long, right? Ethereum had a really nice breakout, which seems quite valid, especially on the weekly. It was pretty decent close above. Again though, yeah, I mean with ETH, like, it's just pumped off the weekly open. There's no lower wick. Bitcoin's probably the same. There's plenty of reasons to have some caution here, right? I think at some point this week we take out today's low, whether we push a little higher and then we sweep people out. I think most of those, like, any decent dip's going to be a buying opportunity, but I just wouldn't be getting long here necessarily. Certainly wouldn't be adding longs. I'd just be looking to take profit on any long leverage and stay exposed spot. And look at this here, like low time frame, 1 hour chart, consolidating, you know, no big crazy wicks. We have swept at that high. We are falling back a little bit, but I think you know, when I come in tomorrow and do this daily levels tomorrow, are we going to be higher or lower? No idea. But at some point this week, are we going to be lower? Most likely. Yeah. So that'll be my play. I'll be waiting for dips to get on board, buy dips, wait for leverage to get shaken out. The market's bullish. That's the main thing to remember. Like, Bitcoin's bullish, and it's should remain bullish until the ETF. So you just want to sit back and wait for others to get wrecked and then step in yourself. Yeah. All right. That's it. GM. See you later on the live stream, 5 p.m. UTC.